Alright, the disappointing moment when, although I have scheduled a stream, that still nobody's here. Yeah, it's kind of boring, you can still say that, right? But that's just how this kind of life seems to be, yeah? Seems to be like that. And I often like to, I just like to engage, right? I have to wear a hat. It's the Mad Hatter talks, yeah? I have to get into the mood. It's also my thinking cap, if you will. But yeah, I'm just doing my work, if you will. And I'm just doing whatever I can. And right now, I'm fasting. And the thing is, you can fast on all kinds of things. By the way, that picture, I drew that when I was I was young. My guess is 15. And none of my siblings did that, but I did that. And it says something about me, right? It's something I felt drawn to. I also always felt drawn to Egypt somehow. I'll just let you sit here for a second, and I'm just going to play you some music, and then I can check on my song. Let's hear it.
Hello, my friend.
Hello.
Life is tough.
Life
is sometimes ever so rough. The secret to living is...
Alright. Yeah, this is my new album. It's called Disturbing Worlds. I think, yeah, for the first time in my life, I'm actually at this place in my heart. Wow, when did I do that? Just happened. Just so happened. Now, there might be actually some kind of disturbance. Maybe I should move this, because it's standing, I like the way it looks, but I think you hear a lot of vibrations in the background. I'm not sure if that's really nice for you. All right. Okay. So it's very difficult for me at the moment, to be honest, to keep talking to you. Because if there's no audience, then who am I talking to? So when I stay, why I'm creating content And that's just something for people who maybe want to create content themselves, right? So the reason I'm creating content is fairly simple. Because I want to give. So I have the feeling that at one point, you know, people would start listening to what I have to say, and then they would start to come to my channel, and then they would have all kinds of stuff that they could discover. For me, just from the point where I'm talking to you from, which is having 83 followers on YouTube and 18 on Instagram, you know, it's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. Because there's nothing happening since about 1.5 years, right? I'm just doing this, I'm just doing this, I'm just doing this. Before I have done this, I've done my podcast, but I always thought someday somebody's going to send me an email, you know? Someday I'm just going to open my eyes and it's going to explode in my face. But the truth is, it might be. Just because I don't see it today, you know, it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. Because what am I creating all this content for? Because what I've seen is in my music that things are changing. Things are changing, even though I'm drinking a lot of coffee. But at the moment I am fasting. Well, I'm certainly not fasting on coffee. Am I fasting on food? That is a good question. I realized that not eating helps me. What does it help me to do? When I don't eat, my body has more time to... Oh, wow. My body has more time to digest energy in its raw form. And that is emotions. And that means now I'm learning again, because now I've also built up quite a lot of strength. And that means my body has it much easier. You know, I worked out a lot of my trauma, a lot of my shame, a lot of my root chakra things. All the things that kept my energy from leaking out or creating pressure, right? So if you stop watching porn and you stop masturbating, what you will realize is that you always get to this point where this incredible pressure starts to build up and you just don't manage. Because we also live a life, right? I mean, if I could have been just sitting in a cave alone without eating for a month or something, I don't know, right? And maybe even just 2 weeks, I think this could have worked out just fine, you know? Energy would have built up and then the pressure would have come. But because I didn't eat, because eating is actually, it's a barrier for the energy flow. And I never realized that. I always thought I was eating because I wanted energy, but I was actually eating to stop me from feeling all these feelings that were trying to leave. And so I realized, you know, if I drink a coffee and tea, I can use that for fasting. And I allow myself, because I can choose. You know, I'm in charge of this. I'm in charge. You know, whatever I do here with this, you know, if I want to move like this or if I want to sit on the couch, it's all my choice, right? It's all my choice. It's all my choice. And the thing is, what that says is that I'm in charge, not the system, not other people, right? So if other people feel bad because you went and told them that they have gout and that they should work on that, well, then they only feel bad because they cling to feeling bad, or they think they have a right to feel bad. It's like this righteous, you know, I have a right to feel bad today. And when I look at this picture, what it says to me, it's Nofretete. You know, Nofretiti, I don't know how you say that in English. It's like Christopher, right? You don't have to say Christopher. I mean, you could at least try to pronounce my name in the right way, which is Christopher. It sounds a bit, you know, Christopher. Can I pronounce it any way I like? Like, can I pronounce my name the way I like it to sound? Christopher. I actually like that. Because I like English, and Christopher sounds really like Christopher. My name's Christopher. Hey, I'm Christopher. Christopher. Yeah, that sounds a bit like I want to make a connection to that. No, it's true already, but you know, it doesn't mean I have to do that. Christopher. You see, Nofretete, she has one eye. And it looks a bit like it's blind. Not sure if that's the real meaning. Could also mean that that eye is open. Because that's how I feel like. I think both eyes actually see something else. I think if you would train that, because some children, they have one eye that goes lazy. Ha! Which one is that? Which eye is lazy? What is lazy eye? Lazy eye. Over lazy eye is reduced vision in one eye caused by abnormal visual. Yeah, see, this is what science gives you. Science gives you a bunch of shit. They say, you know, they give you these definitions and they give it a name. Amblyopia. Yes, so something that nobody understands. Is reduced vision in one eye caused by abnormal visual development early in life. That's a lie. It's something that manifests because you are afraid of seeing the truth. I have somebody in the family. No, I can just speak from my own experience, right? You have to work with what you got, you know, because I know my family and I know the kind of connections we have in that family. And I know there's a lot of trauma there. And there was one child and he was constantly, there's a comedian in Germany called Otto. And he's like, yeah, he always makes this really funny, silly kind of stuff. You know, that's like an escape, right? It's a bit like, yeah, Jim Carrey. Everybody knows Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey. Wow. Yeah, Jim Carrey. We all have heard probably his stories, and he has some great insights. One of the best movies I've seen, it's not just the movie, it's actually a documentary about Jim and Andy. I think that's how the movie is called. Not sure if it's a Netflix production, but yeah, I mean, you get anything wherever you want to get it. And you know, you don't have to feed them, but you can still watch the movies. Because, yeah, I don't really want to help them produce more movies. I just want to, sometimes I like to watch a movie, you know, like sometimes when I feel like it, right? Not because it's a habit. Because habitual watching of movies is like really dead. It's running away. And that's what, you know, when Jim Carrey talks about, when Jim Carrey talks about his, careful now, yeah? When he talks about his childhood, he says that his father, you know, had this gift. He was always the funniest man in the room. But he just didn't have the space to live that because he had to make certain choices. And the way Jim Carrey says it, so you want to call him Jim because you feel like you know the guy. I don't really know the guy, but somehow I know, right? He just seems true. You know, he basically picked up where his father left off. And that's a choice that the child has to make. That you pick up where the father left off. Because he couldn't go any further. Because he had certain choices to make. So you could say because his father sacrificed his career as a comedian and instead worked hard and earned money, he maybe inspired his son to do so, who now has seen somebody already that could have done it but decided not to, and then Jim at an early age did it himself. And that allowed him to connect with his father on a more spiritual level maybe, because he felt like, I carry on my father's profession that he secretly had. And that it seemed to be how it was, right? You could also say that it made Jim Carrey so sad, yeah, what he was seeing in his dad, that he just went crazy and just had to make jokes all the time. Like, you know, it's like really weird to do that. You could say, but it's a form of expression, right? It's a form to deal with whatever is going on. You know, I deal with my things more on the inside, and I bring it then to the outside through art. This is how you see truth. And often when you see children, when we talk about lazy eye, it's just one eye that's lazy. You know, now we could look up, to get away from this stupid science stuff, lazy eye in, spirituality. Which eye sees truth? Maybe there is something. Left and right eye, spiritual meanings and symbolism. See, I'm learning alongside with you, because I would never look that up, because I'm so convinced that I know everything already that I often don't look anything up at all. And that's one problem that comes from psychedelics and just being maybe somewhat gifted child or something. Or having been brought up with the belief that you can't do shit and that you're actually lazy and stuff. And then to realize, oh wow, it's quite different. Okay, eye symbolism and spiritual meanings. You know, I like to draw eyes. I like to draw eyes. You know, I like to draw eyes in all kinds of ways. But I like this kind of, this Egyptian eye. Wait a sec. Yeah. But I also have to say that maybe I don't know, but I think I'm gonna look more into eyes. I want to draw more eyes. Okay. See, this thing has been there all the time. I just mostly ignore it. I knew already there was something behind this. And eyes are beautiful. Even dogs have really beautiful eyes. Dogs have really beautiful eyes. Not just the eye itself, but everything around it. If you look really a dog in the eyes, you see it's just like a human. Like, it's certain that animals are as conscious as humans. Any life form is. So number one, it's focus. If you have or see the spiritual eye, you are focused on what you are doing. As you meditate, you'll start to remember more about what happened in your life. It's interesting, because that's just what I'm going through. You see, I'm only interested in the things, I'm only drawn to the things that I'm ready for. So for example, sometimes I was listening to Ram Dass and I was listening to it and I realized, I don't get everything he says, but it doesn't matter. I just kept listening to it. And the more I made experiences, the more I learned. So I'm just, I'm starting to meditate. I don't sit, I lie down and I hold myself. And that's also how you can meditate, by lying down. Because if your body is like still really needs to recover from a lot of trauma that has been trapped in there, you have to allow yourself to rest. So there's a reason I don't have chairs in here where I sit on. I either lie down, I stand, or I squat. I try to sit as little as possible because it's very, very bad for the spine. Nobody should sit. Okay. So now I have been going through a lot of my childhood things. Things that I forgot, such as some things that like sound really random, but it tells you something about how much you got from your parents as a child. It's like so I hear these stories of how I was a baby and they wanted to feed me, but I wasn't breastfed. I was fed with milk from a bottle. And I don't think I like that very much, because what you want is love. You don't just want milk from a bottle, you want love. Anyway, I didn't get that. And so they tried to feed me with this thing, and I was drinking really slowly, like incredibly slowly. And I would always fall asleep in my mother's arms as she was feeding me. And now I get why I was doing this, because I actually wanted love, but they thought I want food. But what I wanted was love. I wanted more love than food. And then they put me, and when I fell asleep, they put me back to bed. And then I started crying, so they had to go back. And then, it's like, do you want the milk? No, I don't want the milk, I want love, right? And, then probably my mother said to my father or something, he's drinking so slowly. And then my father came up with a solution, and he just took, scissors and made the hole bigger so that I would drink faster. That's like force feeding in a way, right? It's like, he's drinking too slowly, I don't have patience to sit with him all the time, if he doesn't want to drink, it's really annoying. Or maybe it's even parents are really afraid also. And then what happened was, they say I coughed the first time because it was so much coming in, and then I just drank at my old pace. But if you see that from that perspective, how you've been treated as a child, that can be quite a strange feeling, a lot of anger. That's how I've been treated, it's really unfair, right? That's just one thing that can come up. It's a very random thing. Just you remember it, somebody told you about it, and suddenly it makes click. Oh, wow. That's why I've been eating so much, because people always stuffed food into me while I just wanted love. Right? You go to your parents and you start talking, and they're, now stop talking, here, get some food. Because some people, they don't want to focus on love. They rather want to focus on hate, right? Some people, they are so in hatred that they just want to focus on that all the time. I'm not going to draw this out too long. I don't want to talk a lot at the moment. Also, don't feel like, right? It's very hard to keep giving if people just never listen. I tell you, it's very, very frustrating. So, like your other two eyes, the spiritual eye encourages you to pay closer attention to your daily activities. Yeah, that's the observer. That's the spiritual eye means the third eye. It's the observer. You can clean that because it's often calcified, and you can decalcify it apparently by eating tamarind, but also, yeah, probably by doing all kinds of things. This eye reveals your strength and areas for improvement. Blah, blah, blah. You look that up yourself. Because I already know these things, this is just different words. I could say this in my own words. But what I wanted to say is right and left eye. Right, this is a very good page. If you're interested in this, you can go to spiritual posts, left, right eye, spiritual meaning symbolism. It's very simple, right? You don't Left eye, right eye. Which one first? Left. You see, why do they always have to do both? Right eye. In many cultures, the right eye is seen as a symbol of masculine energy, protection, and good luck. The right eye is also seen as a symbol of the sun and therefore of life itself. In some cultures, the right eye is believed to be the window to the soul. The right eye is often associated with strength, power, and courage. In some cultures, it is believed that if you lose your right eye, you will lose your soul. Now, her left eye. You see, now the question is from which side are they looking at? But if they say your right eye, I assume. So this is her left eye that is blind, or looks like it's blind. And it said left eye symbolism. In many cultures, the left eye is considered to be the more spiritual eye. It is often associated with moon goddesses and is seen as a symbol of feminine power. It also gives us the clue, because I wasn't quite sure, but the right side is masculine, the left side is feminine. Now, you often have these spiritual people that say, I'm really sensitive, and you realize they're really not sensitive. You know, they're really imbalanced. Or they just jump between being sensitive and insensitive. The left eye also represents intuition, creativity, and imagination. Some believe that the left eye is connected to the right side of the brain, which is responsible for processing emotions and creativity. Sweet. This connection may explain why the left eye is often seen as a symbol of intuition and emotion. The left eye may also be seen as a symbol of protection. In some cultures, it is believed that the left eye can ward off evil spirits. In others, it is thought to protect against negative energy. That's just the same thing. Negative energy and ward off evil spirits is the same thing. There's no difference. It's just the way you look at it, right? You know, negative energy, you can also see that as evil spirits, right? You know, it's hard to say what's really real, right? Because there's so many things. Now I just want to see right eye versus left eye symbolically. Right eye, the sun. It's just say the same thing again. Okay, so which means the right eye is more like, I would say, you know, life itself. It's like looking at what is. You look at what is, you know, the obvious things, right? It's like, this is skin. And the left eye sees all the spiritual stuff, which is more like forms of energy. So it's interesting if you would see somebody who's, you know, depending on which eye closes. I don't know which one it was with him. I believe it was the left eye. It's like, why did it close? So he was trying to avoid looking at what was really happening. You know, if there's a lot of trauma in your family, I always had the feeling, you know, my vision was very blurry because I also tried to look away. And so you can actually make your eyes stop looking at anything. And I made the choice at one point to break my glasses in half and throw them away because I hated glasses all my life. And the more I realized how bullshit glasses are, because it's like having problems with your knee and then walking with crutches for the rest of your life, while you could also just do something and work with your knee. So ever since I threw away my glasses, you know, you see how much I've written. Most of the stuff I've written without glasses. I never wear them, so instead, you know, I just learn to look at truth. I heal my eyes, sometimes I massage them. You know, sometimes I just be gentle with that. I sit in the darkness. And then, if my eyes have a lot of pressure on them, I press on them like this, you know, very gently. I close my eyes. You see this, right? And then I start pressing very gently on my eyeballs. And as soon as I do that, all kinds of really nice shapes start to appear. You can call these things fractals. Now, where do they come from? People would say, oh, that's an illusion. These things are, I don't know what. What is this? Yeah, you explained it to me. If I keep holding this, these shapes, they change form. This is what inspires my art, partly. Because I've seen these things, right? Some people see it on psychedelics, some people see it when they meditate. I see it when I do this. And if I have a lot of pressure on my eyes, this helps me. Because you also have to get used to, and when I take it away, suddenly I see, everything I see is more bright, you see? So sometimes our vision is really stuck, because what you have to understand is, you know, whatever happens with energy, you know, your body, wow, I see everything completely different now. I'm just saying, this needs some getting used to. So you can even just gently massage them like this. I'm talking like very gentle. And then what you can do is, you close your eyes and then you look as far up as you can. And you will realize, I have done this sometimes, I actually got dizzy. I actually got dizzy because if your eyes are very much blocked because you try to avoid looking at truth, at what surrounds you, then there's a lot of energy in there. Maybe fear even, right? So you have layers of fear over your eyes even. And if you start working with them, so you look up as high as you can. You look right or left as far as you can. You look right as far as you can. It's like stretching them, right? And then you look down as far as you can. And suddenly I start to yawn. And I don't hold that in, right? That's why I do these things when I'm alone. So I can yawn without feeling ashamed about it. Or somebody saying, oh, somebody's tired. No, I am releasing energy. This is what I'm doing, right? This is what my life is about. It's channeling energy out of myself. It's a very, very important thing. Yeah, it's a very important thing. And that's what I'm doing. You know, sometimes I also close my eyes, like really, I press as far as I can, and then I hear there's like stuff happening in my ears even. I'm saying, yeah, these things are really, really strange. Oh wow, 1 minute 47, but the guy already left. So, single eye, the evil eye. I met somebody who had an eye like her. Her left eye was blind. So what does that mean? Let's say, can you explain the single eye and the evil eye? Because sometimes I just read stuff. The light of the body is the eye. This apparently is now from the Bible. You know, there's some truth in the Bible, but it's distorted truth by the church on purpose to keep certain practices from you, such as fasting. I looked in the church if there is an adequate instruction of fasting, but the church, the Bible actually never gives you any instruction on how to spiritually grow. You know, all they say is read the Bible, read the stories. Yeah, but the stories itself, right, they're kind of meaningless. Because nobody really, you know, they don't say these things. I have something that apparently has been said by Jesus, and that makes sense to me, just based on my own experiences. What helps me to grow spiritually is, you know, eat no meat, yeah, very simple, eat no meat, eat no dead animals. You can eat eggs, but only if they're unfertilized. You know, milk is somewhat okay, but the milk we are having today, yeah, that's just, you know, these animals aren't free roaming. It's like slavery. So, yeah, anyway. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. So if you look through here, if you bring them together, you know, this is like, you can actually move your sight up here. But it's also the three, like it's the Trinity, right? Father, yeah, I don't know. The whole body shall be full of darkness. If thine eye be evil, yeah, what does that even mean? If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, the body also is full of darkness. It's just like, take heed before that, the light which is... So you can also just, because I don't like what they say here. It's a very bad instruction manual for spirituality. The Bible it's distorted truth. It has been tampered with for, you know, millennia, however long it exists already, right? I don't really put a lot of weight onto whatever they say, how long, you know, history is ago. It doesn't matter to me because time is relative. There is no 2,000 years equivalent, on a calendar or something. It makes no sense. We live in the moment and time is always relative, right? Me here talking now already seems like quite a while. Like I feel like I've been talking for ages. But if I would look at the clock now, it would say 5 minutes or 23 minutes. But it feels like I've been talking for ages. Why? I don't know. Maybe I'm not breathing properly, and I'm resisting talking. I think I don't want to talk. Why don't I want to talk? Because I think you're all a bunch of assholes and you don't deserve the light that I'm giving you, because I've been treated by everybody like a real piece of shit ever since I came here. And so for me, I'm a bit reluctant to give anything to anybody because I kind of hate you all, right? But I also love you all, and that's then the wonderful thing. The wonderful thing, I love you all. Yeah, but more like in the, I've seen what you're all about. I can still accept that I can open my heart to you, but I'm also going to make sure that you don't annoy me. Right? So at the moment, I'm really focused on just doing my own thing, because that, I don't see myself. I don't know if I ever want to stand on the stage. I don't know if I have the... I think, I would probably do it. And I would probably enjoy it, but a part of me for a while would probably hate it that I love it. Because I know I would be very good at it. So I don't really have to listen to this, because you have to understand how Christians see the world. They see the world as, this is good and this is bad. Yeah, this is already makes no sense in spiritual terms. So if you read the Bible, this is like, this is good and this is bad. Yeah, Jesus was good and I don't know. Like, you see, this is like, there is no good or bad. It's everything is the same thing. So if they say, if thine eye is evil, and you think, do I have an evil eye? No, you have two different eyes. Yeah, but you can also, I don't know which eye is doing what. But I realize that I can look at darkness and I can look at light. Sometimes I have to look at the darkness to find truth, right? If I want to find out what the truth is about myself, who I really am, I have to look into the darkness. But some people, they are just trapped in the darkness, yeah? And then they become a little bit dark. It's like a mother that is a little selfish with her love. She's just trapped in the darkness. So she's walking around in darkness, and then she becomes a bit like darkness. And sometimes she probably will have lightful moments. So if you're trapped in your trauma, you just constantly look at darkness, and that means you have dark thoughts and you do dark things, and you also feel dark. You know, dark people, they often feel like powerful or something. Yeah, and if you're too much in the light, you know, if you only look for the light, then it's just an escape plan. Yeah, it's an escape plan. And why do I say that? Well, because it is. It's an escape plan. If you're just in the light all the time, you know, I see people who try to be in the light all the time. They just run away from their trauma. You know, you can really live in trauma and go into that hatred, and you can be like, ah, but it's both phony, because you're neither nor. You're in between, right? And when you have balance, you just see the light and you see the darkness. And when you see both, that's then truth, right? So if the government comes and it shows me something and it says, you have to go and do this now because, you know, it's really bad. And everybody's like, oh, I'm super afraid. Yeah, and then they go and get whatever the government is recommending. Yeah, and even forcefully making sure, you know, ensuring with force, you know, by saying, I'll take away your freedom if you don't get this. And then everybody goes and gets it. And that's the people who live in fear, right? That's the people who are probably trapped in a trauma. That's the people who cannot see the light, who look to the government for guidance because they are afraid. It's like, oh, what am I supposed to do? I'm gonna die. And then they say, take this, it's gonna help you. And then you go and take it, and it's like, well, now I have eczema all over my body. And it's like, you know, it just made me, actually, that's what made me sing. You know, I can't really talk about it fully here, but everybody knows what I'm talking about, you know. So if you look at truth, you know, like from my perspective, when this would happen or was happening, I was looking at the situation, everybody was like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. And I was like, yeah, really? I mean, you're all crazy. But when I said these things, they said, no, you're crazy. But the people who were really afraid, you know, they're just afraid of anything. You know, if you say to them, well, death is natural, they say, but I don't want to die. Yeah, anyway. So, in the end, you know, you can look at, you know, some people, they see a lot of spiritual stuff. What I've learned is, because sometimes when you know, you smoke cannabis, or you maybe have taken psychedelics, or you just see weird shapes, you know, sometimes you stand somewhere and suddenly out of the corner of your eye you see like a shape. You see like a shape walking, like whoosh. You're like, what was that? Like, what was that? Sometimes I sit in my room alone, usually at night, because I spend quite a lot of time alone in my room without any screen or anything going on. And then what happens? It's like suddenly like, or like, something moves. Like, what is this? Because I see these things, but the problem is I don't really see them. And that's a bit unnerving because I know there is something, but I cannot pin it down, right? It's not like I don't see this, like I see this cup here. I can't go there and like, you know, it's just like, I don't know. Is this another dimension? You know, is this beneath? You know, I can't really say that, but there are certain things that I simply know. I sometimes know there's something attached to my body and I want to get rid of it. And when I realize there's something attached, you know, it freaks me out because I don't know what it is. And sometimes I had the feeling I had some kind of weird energy suckers on me. But that can also, you know, now comes the weird thing. Because you can see these things, right? So you can look at a person, right? And I have seen, usually during like psychedelic experiences, I have seen faces over faces, and I have seen faces behind faces. I've seen a person that looked like this guy, and then he was talking to me, and behind that was this really weird something like this, something really like. So when I saw this, I thought he's possessed by an evil spirit. Now comes the interesting thing. You can see that as possession. You can say this is an evil spirit. What you can also say is, I've just seen that man's trauma. That's his inner child. It's like one of his things, right? That's like one of the things that he had in his life. Something that happened and that he started identifying with. He doesn't even realize that he's still talking from this place. But he is. You know, so when you often speak, you may speak with a lot of anger, or maybe you speak to people, and these people, they start attacking you all the time. Then the question is, why are they attacking you? Well, one reason might be that you actually attack them without realizing it. A lot of people, you know, you call this passive aggressive. It's actually not passive aggressive. It's like, it's aggression. Some people are like, and when you are like this, because you're in a place of fear and you actually think you have to defend yourself against everything, then you also talk like that to everyone. You know, people who gossip a lot, that's in some state, you know, this is somehow this. But also people who generally, some people, they talk like, they really talk like they're barking at each other. So, world within world, right? Glancing behind the veil, there's a lot to discover. A lot of people are scared by that. To me, it's wow, fascinating. Yeah, to me, I want to see these things because I like to discover. You know, I'm an adventurer. I'm a warrior. You know, this is this little childlike, open your eyes and just look at it. Because what I found, and what you also find a lot in my art, sometimes I draw really disturbing things. Sometimes some of the things I draw are very, very disturbing. But it's just something that's there. It's a facet. It's one way of looking at it. Maybe your way of looking at it is completely different, but my way of looking at it is exactly like that. And that is in a way also beautiful because I literally have no idea what people see when they look at me. So just to show you one thing, I had a dream about a few years. All right, wait a second. First, I'm going to talk to you about this dream that I had today. Because dreams are also something people run away from. And I've worked in my dreams with a lot of fear. You know, where do you go when you sleep? People say, well, dreams are just nothing, but that's certainly untrue. Because when I dream, my spirit can wander. So it can go to places and do other kinds of things. I don't know what, but I have healed people with Reiki. I have done an energy session with a person in a dream. So, I don't know, because sometimes I can't do this here. Because I can heal people or I can give people energy. But the thing is, sometimes I walk around, you know, everybody here has problems. But they wouldn't let me massage them. It would be weird. It just would feel wrong to do that. But in my dreams, I can do it. In my dreams, I can do it. And so sometimes I go to weird places. And tonight, or not tonight, but earlier today, I had a dream. And I met somebody from the past. And now that's very strange. Very, very strange. Just let me give me a second. Just let me try to make something with this. It's very difficult though. Actually, it isn't. You just have to do it. All right. So what I had was a dream. I'm not sure if you can see this, but to me it doesn't matter right now. So what I had was a dream, and I have to draw it left at the moment, which to me is a bit annoying because I'm more used to drawing with the right. I think this one I should draw with the right. All right, so why now with my masculine side? Well, it's hard to say. Okay. My right side can draw fear and my left side love. When I draw with left, I realize it's different. My masculine side is more like darkness. My left side is more like feminine, gentle stuff. I've been realizing that when I draw with left, I want to draw much more loving stuff. When I draw with right, it's more like okay. So that also makes sense to me. So what I had a dream and I saw this okay. Okay. I have never done this like that. I have the feeling I can though. Right, I have the feeling I actually am able to do this. Alright. First tell the dream. I had a dream and there was a girl that I met, that I had in my school. And we had a kind of a relationship going, but at the same time she was in a relationship with somebody else. But I don't know why, but I felt really drawn towards her. Or she felt drawn towards me. I am not sure what this was. Like we kissed once, but when she realized that I actually wasn't really sexually ready yet, she lost her interest. So what she wanted simply was sex. And she broke up then with her boyfriend, which in the meantime had become a good friend of me, but only because I wanted to be closer to her. It's a very strange thing. Maybe I just felt that she needed love or something. And we spent time together, but when she realized, like I said, you know, I didn't really get an erection when she was trying to touch me, and that just put her off. Which means she wasn't really willing to love me, she just wanted my love in the form of sex. And that was my first experience also with a woman. And she was, to me, she was a beautiful woman, really beautiful. And I still, when I think of her today, I think, beautiful. Okay, yeah, she did smoke a lot and stuff, but if you looked at her, very beautiful, but she has no love for herself. And that you see a lot in a lot of women. For whatever reason, you know, it's hard to say. And now today I had a dream and I met her somewhere and I went to her and I kissed her. Now sometimes people transform into other people. Sometimes people come to me and they want something from me, they want to sleep with me or something, and then sometimes I hug them and then I send them away, right? All kinds of things happen in dreams. So what happened with this, I kissed her and I said, wow, you're beautiful. And suddenly I realized she was, you know, she was stooped over. Like I realized she was bowing down. She didn't stand up proudly. And then I said, hey, you know, stand straight. And suddenly she stood straight and she turned into something else. Suddenly she's turned into this beautiful thing, but it looked also really weird. I'm just gonna see what wants to come out. Okay. You see, one thing is never shout if you see something. Wow, something just happens with my hand. It's like here. The whole thing is just like No, this is just a caricature, yeah? This is not, it's not going to be exactly what I've seen. It's just to give you an idea of what I saw. Oh wow. This is a very good position when you squat. My arm is pressing on this thing and suddenly it stretches something. I told you, this is like, it doesn't matter. I don't know what was here. It didn't really have a face. It didn't really have eyes, right? I don't know what that was. It did have legs though. Like almost like 2 legs. But this is roughly how it looked like. Can you see? Wait. Just look at it. Just like this. Yeah, I'm gonna make an image out of this. Like this. Alright? All that tells you is it doesn't very much look like a human. But this is what she turned into. And now I feel a bit sad that I couldn't draw it. Maybe I should have drawn it with left, right? But I'm still practicing with left. I feel it's easier to draw with right. So this is what she turned into, and in the moment, this is the really interesting thing now. I felt like she was super beautiful, but at the same time I thought she looked disgusting. You know, somehow I woke up and I felt disgusted by what I had seen. I felt disgusted by what I had seen. Well, why? Well, actually, what I felt disgusted about wasn't she, in her essence, this beautiful being. What I was disgusted about, because what also happened in the dream was, she stood up straight and she was suddenly like this. And I saw other people, how they were looking at her like, ugh. Because everybody's different. And some of us are like this. Yeah? And others are like, ugh. Yeah, and everybody who's like, ugh, looks at the people who are like this and says, oh, you're so ugly. Right? It's some people who are super beautiful, you know, just like, they look really pretty. And everybody else who's like a little bit ugly for whatever reason, or feels ugly or whatever, you know, just starts picking on them. Maybe they don't say it, but they say it, because that's what I mean with passive aggressive. They have ugly thoughts about them. Ugly, ugly, ugly. And that's what you have to protect yourself from. So you look behind the veils, you suddenly start seeing things like this. In your dreams, these things start to happen to you. And you realize, okay, because when I woke up, I felt disgusted. And I immediately wanted to project my feeling of disgustion onto what I had seen, you know, the obvious thing, that thing that seemed so weird. But now that I think about it, what I hated, because disgust is a form also of hatred, of repulsion, was how they were looking at her. Because, for example, some people, they really think spiders are ugly and disgusting. I think they're beautiful. But when people go around, disgusting spider, they want to kill it, I say, stop this. It's a beautiful being. It's a beautiful being. So learn how to love everything. Even the most ugly politician, I don't know, Boris Johnson, you know, disgusting guy, disgusting. Never want to be like that. No, never want to even be in the same room as him. Never even want to shake his hand. You know, people like Joe Biden, people like, you know, the Tesla guy. You know, if I would be in the same room as this guy, he would stand no chance. Like, I would probably have to leave, because whatever I would say to him, yeah, he wouldn't like it. Because he's a terrible person. A terrible person that tries to act like he's a super good guy. But yeah, you see he's probably traumatized, but that is no excuse. It's no excuse to do what he does. To exploit nature in the way that he does. And markets it as the best thing. So yeah, sure, a part of me wants to really stop with Instagram. Yeah, and then you can go to Mastodon or something. You know, I've heard about this. I don't know if that's a better place. Why? Because, you know, the people I'm trying to catch, I think, are on Instagram. But then I also got a vision that says, move your art. And then you have to think, okay, you know, you look behind the veil, suddenly you get messages. Move your art. Where am I supposed to move it? Find a better place. That's a lot of work, isn't it? It's a lot of work. Now you can say, how do you call that? Move Instagram account to how to transfer Instagram account. Can I transfer my Instagram account? No, that's not it. Move Instagram posts to also doesn't work. Because for example with YouTube you can move that to another. I don't know if this Mastodon is really the thing to do. They say it's super good, but I'm not so sure. It says decentralized social media. You know, the question is it really, really, really that decentralized? Like, how do I know that this is better? Right? How do I know that this is really better? Service your feed flexible, safe for all. See, sometimes this is very, you know, what is this now? Mastodon social. What is all of this? It's very confusing. Now I have to choose something. And then make an account of that. It's like, what is all of this? Like, which one am I supposed to choose? I don't know what all of this is. Stranger social? Welcome to Stranger Social, where strangers become friends? But it's called Stranger Social. It's like for people that think they're strange. You know, why would I go into this? Sorry, it's just the same thing. Believe it or not. There is no real social media because it's all an escape. So why is it saying move your art? Move your art where? It's away from social media. I really feel like I want to get out of this because social media, I don't like it. Right? So, you know, some of us, they really, really produce a lot of content. Tap into your expertise, reach a global network. I really think that Instagram isn't the way to go, and neither are NFTs. Right? It's like very, very strange. I really think that there are some things, you know, it's like, for example, I stay away from TikTok because I just see there's something very weird going on there. It's something very weird. And for me at the moment, you know, I don't really need Instagram. Now it says, sure you do. You can always give it a try, right? You see, sometimes I get these messages, I don't know what they mean. It's like, stay away from Instagram for a while. Am I supposed to listen to that? Yeah, I'm not sure. But I feel like something makes me angry when I do it. Well, there is anger. I think it's anger because I start hating that place. Because I know, why I know. So I just log out now. Because it keeps me trapped. I just keep looking for people who contact me, but I can just leave it the way it is now. Because there's enough stuff in there. I don't have to make more. I don't have to make more for Instagram. Because nobody gives a shit. And that's very, very, very frustrating. Okay? So sometimes you simply have to do things and see what's going to happen. What? Just enter full name. I'm just making this something. What do you mean? Of course my name isn't in there. Please select an artist from the list. Other artists cannot be submitted due to limited demand. That makes no sense. So I can't. You know what did it show me? That apparently artists are having a very hard time making money these days. Because there's too much art. You think people aren't making art. I think people make too much art. And then, another voice comes up and says, stay away from porn. Well, which is it? Stay away from Instagram? Stay away from porn. And it says, well, what is it then? Is it porn? Instagram is porn. It's like porn. It's actually porn. It's people selling themselves for likes. This is pornography. To sell yourself for likes. That's what I'm doing, actually. I'm selling myself to get likes. It's the same thing with Instagram, with YouTube. I sell myself in a way. I stand here and talk. I actually don't want to do it. A part of me really doesn't want to do it. And that's why I start getting really angry. The only reason why I stand here and talk is about Jesus, man. The only reason why I stand here and talk is because I think I have to. Because I think I have to do this to get acknowledged by people, by showering them with my love and whatever. But also a question, what am I else supposed to do? Well, I could do all kinds of things, right? You see, I'm not sure. No, I actually would like to sell my art. Not as NFTs. Because NFT to me is a very weird thing. Like very, very weird. And a part of me really wants to delete that. It says stay away from online art, right? Because it's a very, very weird thing. And I don't know why. It's like very, very fishy. And I've been doing this for sure, but I also don't like it. And do you know why? Because you sell your image as an artist. And then what happens? I don't know what happens. This, all this kind of NFT stuff, it's not very open, right? People are trying to hide. So what I can say is, I don't know what they will do with my art. But then also, you know, if somebody would buy my art as a real image, and that's actually what I want. I actually don't want to sell my art as an NFT. The only reason I started doing that was because I thought I have to. But now the question is, what do I do else, right? It's like, what else are you going to do? You see, I'm not quite sure. I feel like I don't like this NFT stuff. And there's no way of really telling you why, because I don't really see a lot of purpose in that. It's very hard to decide on this. I mean, I really mean that. So sometimes you see a lot of things, you get a lot of insights, you get a lot of visions, but which of these visions are really true and which are just confusing? Like sometimes I just get visions and I'm not sure about it. And I think sometimes I would really like to speak to my wife about these things, but at the moment, well, she's out of touch, right? That's a little bit frustrating, because I have certain things where I'm really insecure about, and then I just leave it, I just do nothing with it. I just feel like I would need an extra pair of eyes for this. Just a more like feminine, intuitive side. But anyway, I think I've said enough. You know, I've talked to you about certain things. You know, do with it what you want. Peace out.